Before we begin our senior recognition, we'd also like to recognize the seniors from Mesquite High School. Congratulations to you all and best wishes in the future. And now, presenting the Seton Preparatory 2022 Boys Volleyball Seniors. Our first senior today is Matthias Perelli. Matthias is estimated by his parents to name and check. It is his second year as a member of the Seton volleyball team. And aside from training and studying, Matthias likes hiking, fishing, playing basketball, and hanging with friends. His former member was the rush ride home from the win last year at Seton. Matthias was the recent recipient of the National Football Foundation's Native American Award. And next fall, Matthias plans to study computer science at Arizona State University. Congratulations, Matthias! Our next senior this afternoon is Santiago Gomez.
Headset for Rachel. Done? Right here. Beautiful. I'll bring it over as soon as
it's walking his fish, going flips, and playing soccer. Santi is practicing his serves and studying. His favorite memory was when he beat the Rising Honors and JV diving on the court. After graduation, Santi will attend Northern Arizona University and study marine biology. Congratulations, Santiago! Our next senior this afternoon is Mason Burley. Mason is estimated by his parents as early as career, and this is his first year with playing volleyball for the Sentinels. And when he isn't serving up aces on the court, he likes hanging out with friends and playing video games. This fall, Mason will attend Grand Canyon University and study biology. Congratulations, Mason! Our next senior this afternoon is Bobby Khan. This is Bobby's first year playing volleyball, and is escorted by his parents, Brian and Nicole. Apart from eating wings whenever he can find them, he likes working on his game and playing volleyball with the boys. His best memory is when he could raise active volleyball games. After graduation, Bobby worked with collegiate baseball and majored in biomedical engineering at Warriors College in Dubuque, Iowa. Congratulations, Bobby. Our next senior tonight is Isaiah Kubasak. Isaiah is a former member of Seton volleyball, but for the studies and working on his game, he likes hanging out with friends, driving, listening to music, and playing video games. His favorite member was the team dinner at 6 after the last game last year. This fall, Isaiah will major in mechanical engineering at Arizona State University. Congratulations, Isaiah! Our next summer senior this evening is Jesse Matios. Jesse has played volleyball for 4 years, and apart from studying and training, he enjoys wrestling and playing video games. His best simple memory was being part of the wrestling senior night. After he graduates, Jesse will study engineering at Arizona State University. Congratulations, Jesse! And our final senior this evening is Enzo Palmeri. Dominating as a 4-year member of the Seton volleyball team. And when he isn't attending practices or games or studying, he likes going to the gym and has an interest in cars. After graduation, Enzo will major in business marketing as To our senior athletes, remember this morning and know that each of you are making an incredible impact on your team and the entire Seton community. On behalf of Seton Catholic Preparatory, we want to say congratulations, God bless, and best of luck in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the 2022 Seton Volleyball Seniors!
Kevin Codling. You ready? Emotions will be high as 8 seniors play their final regular season home game for the Seton Catholic Sentinels. The intensity will also be high as John Engelbert's squad has a shot at a share of the league title as first place Mesquite comes to town. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Pequeno. Thanks for dialing us up on the Seton Catholic Sports Network. The Sentinels coming in with a record of 15-12, 8-3 in the ever so tough Desert Sky. Welcome in Mesquite, a squad 12-7 on the season, a record of 9-2 in section play. These two teams going at it yet again to close out the regular season. And for the Sentinels, yes, emotions are high. They have dropped 5 straight to Mesquite and a shot with the Desert Sky on the line. We'll have the starting lineups and more coming up right here on the Seton Catholic Sports Network.
Rachel, get ready. Here you go.
We welcome you into John J. McMahon Gym. Thank you for dialing us up on the Seton Catholic Sports Network. Joe Pequeno alongside the libero of the women's squad, Rachel Martinez. And a big one tonight for Seton Catholic. Rachel, they come in final regular season home game, 8 departing seniors, and still with a shot at a share of the Desert Sky section title with first place Mesquite coming to town.
Yeah, I'm excited for this matchup. It's going to be great. Senior night, a lot of energy in this gym, and a huge crowd, so it's exciting for the boys here.
For Seton Catholic, of course, they're led by the man who's got some snap, crackle, and plenty of hops, and Isaiah Kubisak. Look, if you're Isaiah and you're the Seton Catholic Sentinels, what kind of emotions are they feeling coming into this one, knowing that a shot of the section title is still within their grasps, and not to mention knowing the past history of losing 5 straight to Mesquite?
You know, I think that there's just a lot of emotions going on, a lot of excitement. They just had their senior night ceremony. I think they're just really looking for a little bit of revenge after 5 losses in a row. So it's going to be a great matchup to see how Kubisak and what he brings to the play here.
So we had an opportunity to talk to John Engelbert, the head coach of Seton Catholic. As of now, we're looking at 2 playoff teams. Talking to Coach Engelbert, he said as of now his team is seeded roughly 14. Mesquite on the other side, seeded roughly 10th. So we're looking at 2 playoff teams that could potentially make some noise in the postseason.
Yeah, truthfully, I think that rankings, when it comes down to it, especially when it's as close as being 14 and 10, don't always mean that much. I mean, these are 2 completely different teams. Mesquite's got a lot of physicality on their team, big hitters. Seton, to win this game this night, they're going to have to bring their defense to the table and win the serve and pass game.
So, Rachel, we've talked about the matchup per se. What about the emotions for the seniors? 8 departing seniors for Seton Catholic playing in their home gym for the final time, at least in the regular season. What are those seniors going through right now? You just went through it just a short time ago.
You know, I think it is a little bit sad. It's possibly one of their last times playing in this gym. But for me, when I was on my senior night, I was ready to go. I was ready to win the game, if anything, more because of all the energy in the game, gym, all the fans. And so I'm sure that's what all these boys are feeling here tonight as well.
There we go. So both teams on the court currently getting their pregame work in as we look at roughly kind of the lineups for Mesquite. Kevin Codling, the senior, right side and middle hitter, will be in that starting rotation for Mesquite, as well as Jesse Reyna, the setter, Rafael Mapegwe, the junior, Jacob Roberts, the outside hitter, Adan Rocario Campo, Jaden Minarsik, as well as Dominic Susi. The outside hitter will be in the rotation for Mesquite. On the other side, talking to Coach Engelbert, of course, going to give his seniors a lot of opportunities in this one. And, of course, we'll see them along the way. Getting the start the course of the game, Alejandro Burns setting, Mason Gordon, the senior, outside on the left side, Jesse Mathias on the right side, Bobby Heim, a young man who just picked up volleyball this season, very instrumental in that middle position for Seton Catholic. Another middle of Enzo Palmieri, Mateus Benali, big physical force on the right-hand side. Santiago Gomez, such a force on the soccer field for Seton Catholic, will start at libero. And we can't say enough about this young man, Isaiah Kubisak, 6'1", $175. And when Isaiah steps on that court, Rachel, athletically, he's going to be as good as anyone on the other side.
Yeah, Isaiah's definitely bringing a lot to the plate. Just pure athleticism. He jumps super high, jumps through the roof, snappy arm swing, hits the ball straight down most of the time, and he's really tough to defend, so he's going to be one of the hitters that you keep an eye on tonight.
So, on the other side for Mesquite, talking to head coach Sienna Herlahai, who basically came in before the regular season. They had a coaching change right before the season started and has done a nice job with the team. Here they are, right in the good position for the postseason, a record of 12-7, 9-2. And Rachel, when you look at Coach Herlahai stepping in right before the season and to have this team where it is, what does it say about the job she's done?
It really is impressive. I mean, naturally they have a lot of the athletes here, but what they needed was building a culture. And right off the bat, when you're coming in as a new coach, building that culture can be tough sometimes, especially depending on what the culture was before with the previous coach. And I think that seeing the team warm up and watching their camaraderie has been fun to watch. And it'll be good to see once we get into gameplay.
So Herlahai has got some weapons to work with as we see them warm up on the court. She's got athleticism across the board, and when I talked to Coach Engelbert about the keys in this one, he said keep the ball away from the middles to set up their offense. So when you hear something like that as a player, what are you focusing in on?
Definitely getting them out of system. It's hard to run the middle play, especially running a fast play like a 1 or a 3 ball off the net when the pass is like on the 10 or 12 foot line. So that means that Seton needs to have a really tough serve and pass game to get those middles off the net, and so they're forced out of system as he has to set one of the pins. So
we're about under a minute 30 before we'll get the school prayer and the national anthem in, and then we'll start this one from Seton Catholic. And Rachel, for all the Seton Catholic fans out there, very familiar with your success on the volleyball court, and every day you draw closer to college at Colgate. How's the spring been treating you, and how are you getting ready for the next phase of your life?
Well, right now I just finished up my club volleyball season on Sunday, so it's just getting in the gym, getting the weights going. I'm a practice player for the boys club at Aspire, so I play with the 18-1s team, and that's definitely a whole different ball game for me. I mean, it's bigger hitters, a lot more physical, really exciting for me as a defender, but during the summer it's just a lot of weight training and getting to Hamilton, New York as soon as possible.
So no question, your schedule is packed. It's ready to go, and when do you finally make the trek over to the East Coast?
Hopefully middle of July. That's what we're shooting for.
Middle of July, and that being said, here you are. You've got a couple more months to enjoy everything about Arizona before you make the transition. How is the family taking it, knowing that their little girl is going to be heading across the country?
You know, honestly, it's something that we've always talked about, so it's something that I've always been prepared for. It's probably going to be toughest leaving my volleyball club because I've just made so many close friends that have become family to me, and I wasn't expecting to have to leave that. So, I mean, leaving my mom and my sister is going to be tough, but it's really the unexpected family members that are going to get you.
There we go. So we will take a short time out from John J. McMahon Gym. Still to come, the Sentinels in a first place showdown against Mesquite right here on the Seton Catholic Sports Network. Rachel, let me hear you talk. You can, no. You 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 10, 9, 8. No. I Rachel, just count to 10 for me. Count to 10. Yeah. No, I can't. Okay. So everything I'm going to do is going to be close like this. Okay. Wait, I got an idea. Hey, Paulo. Did she plug into an IFP? I can give her my IFP to plug into. That way. Is it possible? Is there a plug-in? Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rachel, can you hear me? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Yeah, you will that. Your microphone. I'm just going to have to buy another one of these. I'm just so gone mad. So like I said, use this link. So like you go there, you find those high schools and say, look, I can do games for you. And volunteer to do whatever sport, just do it. I want you to be connected with the National Federation of High Schools. Okay?
Yeah.
Look that up.
Okay.
basically, it's what they have here in Arizona. They have it across the state. They're basically in charge of doing high school games. So it'll give you the opportunity, if you get connected with them, to potentially do a game. It could be a volleyball championship. You never know.
Yeah.
And it's a good way for you. Look, you know the game so well, and you see it, and you're very effortless on camera. It's a good way for you to make some money, and you never know what it can lead into.
Yeah.
Also, when you're there, find out if your conference, if they have like a television network or social media site,
Yeah.
and reach out to them.
The Patriot League?
Yeah.
Okay.
And say, look, I'm here. I've done some. Let them know I've done some TV work back from my high school. I'm interested. If you guys got anything, I'd like to. Maybe you could be that person for Colgate.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be super
But
cool.
you got to reach out and find out.
Yeah. Okay.
Back to John Jamin and Jim. We are closing in on a crucial matchup in the Desert Sky between the host Seton Catholic Sentinels and their rival right across town, the Mesquite Wildcats. We'll take a short time out for the school prayer and the national anthem. And we are just seconds away from the Sentinels and Wildcats to get it going as the Sentinels are pumped up on the floor. And Rachel, you've been in that circle, you've been in that situation. What's the emotions and adrenaline like for the Sentinels right now?
I can see that the adrenaline is running on high for these Sentinels. Robert Heim is getting pretty hyped up. Mesquite on the other side, looking forward to this game. It's going to be a good matchup.
And for Mesquite, coming in with a record of 12-7, 9-2 in section play. Of course, as we documented before the telecast, Sienna Herlihy, that is, taking over right before the season started, doing a very quality job, has her team in the postseason hunt. Mesquite roughly in the 10th position in 4A. The Sentinels in roughly the 14th position. So not only is the Desert Sky a share of that postseason, actually of the regular season title in Seton's grasp, but it's also, this game could also help their playoff seeding.
Yeah, I think this is going to be important for Seton if they can pull out the win tonight against Mesquite, especially on their senior night. It's going to put them up a couple rankings going into state. Maybe they can host the first playoff round. So a lot's on the line here for the Sentinels.
So the Sentinels with an opportunity in front of the home crowd and the student section out in force. Rachel, you've seen a lot of those faces out here. What does it mean to be out on the floor and see your fellow classmates out there?
Yeah, it means a lot to have the support by them. It's going to be a lot of energy tonight from them.
So here comes Mesquite on the back end, setting up their offense. And this one is out of bounds as Rafael Lepegwe could not connect on the hit. So the Sentinels get the point and immediately go to work. Serving it up, and it's a nice one across. Mesquite. And right there, the middle block. And Bobby Heim. I love Bobby in the middle. I love his energy, and he comes up big right off the bat.
You know, right off the bat, they're shutting down the middles on Mesquite. John and Wilbert coming out saying they want to slow down the middle attack, and that's what Bobby does right away.
So excellent work by Bobby Heim, who actually came over a couple weeks and helped out during the track tournament. Was an assistant for me that day and lent a helping hand. And Coach Engelbert making some quick substitutions, getting his seniors out there, and now bringing in his stars and regulars in as Mesquite goes to work offensively with Jaden Minarsik about to serve as Mesquite picks up the point early in this one. And no question, Isaiah Kubisak, he's got the engines running and he'll be ready to go. Santiago Gomez in that back end, and Kubisak just knocks it across. Mesquite and Kubisak bringing the heat right in the middle.
10-foot line off the dome. Isaiah Kubisak is fired up and ready to go tonight. That was incredible.
Isaiah Kubisak.
He got up so high on that, flying high in the air.
Yeah, and we talked about that, Rachel. He has 234 kills coming in. Make that 235. And look, anytime that ball is vertical, Isaiah's got the hops to make some magic. And now the Sentinels going to work on the defensive end and the knock across. Mesquite keeping it alive. Their back end knocks it deep. And the Sentinels pick up another point. So right there, Sentinels showing some patience.
I like this improvement by the Sentinels side here with the back row attack, setting Armin from the back row. That's going to be an important weapon, especially going into playoffs. Having that extra attacker is really critical.
Benally knocks over a great service. Gomez setting up Kubisak, and Kubisak. And this time it's Mesquite on the back end, and can't say enough about Rafael Lepegwe right in that middle. Number 11, he's got some hops, and he gets the ball back from Mesquite.
This is just the start of a very physical game between Mesquite and Seton. The middle blockers on both sides pressing over pretty tight, and serve and pass game is going to be important, especially for the Sentinels to side out as quick as possible. Here we go. Quick one-ball side out here for the Sentinels. Let's see if they can get a run going.
So Jacob Roberts does not continue the momentum for Mesquite. And then the Sentinels give the point right back. So right now, Rachel, maybe the adrenaline pumping a little bit too much, and the teams need to get into a flow and get into a more controlled effort on the court as Mapegwe gives it right back on the other end.
Yeah, that's 3 missed serves in a row. Not really something you're looking for as a coach. It's important to get at least that first serve in to get the flow going a little bit, and then you can go and be a little bit more aggressive, but you have to get that first serve in.
So Santiago Gomez rips it across. Mapegwe knocks it back over. Gomez. And they set up the left side. Mesquite keeps it alive. Mapegwe. Kubisak on that back end. Good work by Seton. And Gomez bumps it across. Wildcats going into their offense. Doing some work, just some soft touch. And some good work at the net, and Mesquite prevails on the point as Dominic Susi.
Looks like both sides here are a bit jittery. Ball control is a little bit all over the place, and as the night progresses, you want to see that ball control tighten up a little bit so you can give your hitters more opportunities on the net.
So the Sentinels with a 6-4 lead. Jesse Reyna on the serve for Mesquite. And some controlled effort by Dominic Susi at the net for Mesquite, and that quickly makes it 6-5 as Reyna goes back to serve, the junior at 5-7. Wildcats just a short truck away, and this time it's Susi hitting it deep, and the Sentinels go up 7-5. So now an opportunity as Alejandro Burns, the sophomore, gets his first opportunity to serve up some magic for the Sentinels. This one on the left side. Good hops by Armin. Back end, the Sentinels getting it across. And that ball is out in favor of Mesquite.
Yeah, there's a lot of unforced errors going on early on in this set. Mesquite has 2 or 3 service errors, 2 hitting errors, and Seton only has 7 points. So the majority of Seton's points are unforced errors by Mesquite. So once that game gets cleaned up a little bit, it's going to be a lot more competitive.
Dominic Susi, Santiago Gomez, little bump across. Gomez setting up to the outside. Armin comes up, and Armin misses on the outside hit. And we are tied at 7s. Both teams coming into this one knowing what's at stake. Mesquite with a shot to lock up the Desert Sky section title. And for the Sentinels, a chance to claim Elise's share and stop a 5-game losing streak to Mesquite. And Armin coming up from the left side, and Armin 5'10", and the young man has got some hops and delivers the point for the Sentinels.
Nice little tool off the block by Armin here on the outside. It's going to be an important toolbox for him, especially as he progresses in his volleyball career, to get that volleyball IQ up, improve that toolbox, mixing up the shots, tips, hard swings, and it's going to be cool to watch him progress as a player.
Mapegwe, left side, Kubisak.
Oh, great dig by
Gomez,
Santiago.
great effort diving to keep it alive. Mesquite going into their offense, outside hit, and that is a laser by Jacob Roberts. Mesquite patient, found the perfect outside attack, and Roberts slams it down.
Yeah, not much you can do when Roberts hitting OT right over the block. It's going to be a tough situation to defend here, but it's going to be important for us Seton middles to read early, probably commit to their middle, and the Pins are going to have to just take away as much court as they can on the block.
Kevin Codling knocks it over on the serve for Mesquite. Sentinels get it back across. It's Roberts again, Gomez setting up, and Kubisak. And Gomez tries to keep it alive, and a combination of Mapegwe and Jaden Minarsik on the block. And that's very rare that you're going to see Isaiah Kubisak ever stopped when he's going up and attacking.
Yeah, Kubisak got stuck in a little bit in a trap set. Not much he can do in that situation. It's only about half a ball off the net, so he's trying to tool off the hands there, but not much he can do. Well, ace serve by Mesquite. Let's see if they get some momentum in this serving run.
Kevin Codling comes up with an excellent serve, and that puts Mesquite up 10-8. Wildcats, of course, a short trek away from Seton Catholic. And this time, the serve goes wide, so now it's an opportunity for the Sentinels with Enzo Palmieri, the middle hitter, the senior, with an opportunity to go to work. barely gets this one across. Mapegwe, Kubisak setting up on the outside. Armin. Benally keeps it alive as Kubisak on his left side. Sentinels working hard, not giving up on the play. The little bump across and the winner by Jaden Minarsik. Both sides showing their athleticism. Minarsik in the perfect position for the point.
I am loving this middle matchup between Mesquite and Seton here. Bobby Heim pressing high over the net. It's going to be interesting between the middles to see which dukes it out for the kills here.
Bobby Heim, no question, when he steps on the floor, he's always bringing the energy as Minarsik on the serve. Seton on the back end, Armin getting across. And there it is. Mapegwe yet there again. The 6'3" middle hitter right in the middle, showing his athleticism. And Seton in a position not to return it. And Mesquite now with a 12-9 lead.
Yeah, it's important for Seton in these moments to give their hitters more opportunities to get some kills. Ball's not really being put in hittable situations, so getting that ball, even if it's out of system, chucking that ball out to the pin so they can attack the blocker's hands. Just more putting them in situations to score.
So it's Mesquite on a 5-1 run right now. Coach Engelberg taking a timeout. Right now, he's trying to figure out the right combinations. What do you see from his squad to turn the tide and get back into the flow, into a rhythm in this one, Rachel?
You know, from both sides, I've seen a lot of unforced errors, a lot of serving errors, a lot of hitting errors. I think that when both sides start to clean it up a little bit, that's what's going to make the big difference. As you can see, Mesquite has a 4-point lead. I think it's just getting on a service run, and they're not making errors. They're letting Seton make the errors here. So when both sides start to clean it up, give their hitters a little bit more opportunities, it's going to be a better ball game.
And on the other side for Mesquite, Coach Sienna Hurley, what's the message for her team right now with a 4-point lead?
For Mesquite, if I'm on Mesquite's side, I'm just saying, hey, let Seton make the errors here, keep the ball in play on our side, and we just need to play clean volleyball and we'll win the game. Put the ball in the court.
So the squad's back on the floor right now. Mesquite trailing 13-9. Glad you can join us on the Seton Catholic Sports Network, along with the outstanding libero of the women's team, Rachel Martinez. I am Joe Pequeno. Serve across by Minarsik. Gomez digs it out. And once again, Mapegwe, high and hard. You talked about the middles, and right now Mesquite's middles are in perfect position.
Yeah, as you can see from Rafael, it wasn't even 110% swing there. He just put it on a spot in the court where no one was standing. That's all you need to do when you're in this situation. Just find a way to score.
Gomez, Bobby Heim gets it across. And Bobby Heim.
There we go. I'm loving this middle matchup. Bobby and Rafael here. It's going to be interesting to see who tools off the block more, who can press, and you can see they're both kind of duking it out to shut each other down. So it's going to be a fun competition the whole night.
Bobby Heim stops the momentum, and then Benally gives it right back.
And another serving error by Seton Catholic. They really need to find a way to score in the serving runs.
So Mesquite taking advantage of the mistakes by Seton, and now it's the Wildcats going right back. And Rachel, when you see something like this, misfiring on both sides, is it technical or just too much adrenaline flowing?
I would say too much adrenaline flowing. A lot of the balls are flowing out of bounds a couple feet, so they need to control that float serve or topspin serve a little bit more.
So Bobby Heim in the middle knocks it across, and here comes Mapegwe, and Mapegwe going up and getting up and delivering. And Mapegwe, the junior, 6'3" middle hitter, Raphael.
Yeah, that's just tough for the blockers on Seton Catholic to defend. Mesquite has a pretty balanced offense. You don't really know if the ball is going to go to the outside, middle, or right side. So the middle needs to commit to their hitter, and the pins are committing to their own too. So it's going to be a one-on-one block most of the time, which is hard for the back row to defend.
So 16-12 as Mapegwe gives it right back, and it's Santiago Gomez with an opportunity for Seton. Good knock across. Wildcats bringing the energy, and this time Kevin Codling on that net a little bit too much, and the point goes to Seton. A much needed point for Seton Catholic as Gomez goes back to the service line. Student body out in force, a lot of red. A lot of family members of Seton Catholic here today, of course. And Mesquite families making the short trek from the other side. And Seton picks up another point.
Yeah, this is going to be an important time for Seton to come up with a run here.
16-14 is Santiago Gomez, a force on the soccer team for the Sentinels, making some noise on the service game here. Lenarsic setting up the outside. Gomez doing a good job on the back end, the setup. And an impressive work by Enzo Palmieri in the middle. Enzo, the senior, making the most of his opportunities.
Yeah, I think we also have to give a lot of credit to Santiago Gomez. He's coming up with some great digs tonight, putting the setter in a great position. Ollie was right in the net so they can deliver one ball to the middle. And a lot of it comes down to the first contact.
And now, let's not forget Alejandro Burns, who's doing some nice jobs setting for the offensive attack for Seton. Gomez giving a great effort, could not get it across as Mapegwe sees it go out of bounds. And Mesquite with a 17-15 lead. As Coach Engelbert walks over to Armin.
Ollie is a young player, but what I like to watch from him on the court is his demeanor. It's a very calming demeanor, quiet leadership. A lot of the kids you can see look up to him, and he delivers a great ball. He has great soft hands, so it's going to be fun to watch him grow as a player in the next 2 years. He's only a sophomore.
Only a sophomore, plenty of time to grow and mature and see his game blossom as Kubisak fires one up into the net. Now an 18-15 Wildcats lead. The knock across by Jesse Reyna. And Armin bringing the heat from the outside, and Mesquite could not get it across, and Armin, 5'10", vicious hops and comes up big and draws the Sentinels a little closer.
Yeah, sub for Matthias Benali here. He's going to be a great blocking force at the net. Once you have your right side hitter up, you're hoping to score a couple points. Setter's back row, they have 3 hitters up. They have more options, more ways to score. And overall, a better block on the right side. It's going to be good to take care of the outside hitter from Mesquite from there. So
Wildcats get called for the penalty on Kevin Codling. So now a 1-point deficit for the Sentinels, 18-17. Alejandro Burns. Santiago Gomez. Burns. Looked like the whiff by Armin. Needs to say to get the ball across. Mapegwe. Looks like a hit off the Sentinels on the back end. So Mesquite gets the point. Now 19-17.
Yeah, a little bit of a miscue between the middle blocker and the setter here, but a lot of credit once again goes to Santiago Gomez. Perfect pass on that first contact, and he was there ready to make that save, so he's really on his A game tonight.
Dominic Susi on the serve for Mesquite. Burns blocked on the other side by Kevin Codling, and we've talked about the Mesquite middles. No doubt a talented group between Mapegwe and Codling. Codling the senior, Mapegwe the junior, and they've given Mesquite a 20-17 lead as Susie goes back to serve. And Seton fan base, they're up in arms. Alejandro, Armin across, Lenarsic. Here comes Mapegwe, a little bump across. And the point goes in favor of Seton. Now trailing 20-18 as Armin gets the opportunity to draw Seton a little closer. And at some point in this telecast, Rachel, you're going to have to inform me on the history of the pink flamingo.
Oh, the pink flamingo. It's been here for a long time. We have a male and a female senior student section leader, and they bring it to every home game that we have, or sometimes away games if it's like a neutral game for playoffs or anything like that. A lot of history behind it. I think that there's a couple pennies in there, so when you rattle it, it makes a lot of noise. But just Seton tradition goes back a long time.
So the flamingo, part of the history of Seton Catholic. If only it could talk, we would see and hear all the magic it's seen over the course of years, and of course seeing your dominating play on the volleyball court. Seems to say Seton picks up the point. Palmieri with the serve, and the bump over across. Lenarsic looking for a spot on the soft side, could not find it. And now Seton in position, only down a point, 21-20.
Yeah, this has been a game of runs. Mesquite will go on a couple runs, get a couple points, and Seton bounces back. And as you can see, the score is already 20-21. So it's going to be a close game. Quick side out needed by Seton here, though, to get back in. This is going to be a critical point.
And that was a lost opportunity for Seton, being that Mapegwe was not in the position for the middle block or the middle spike. And Jacob Roberts was probably 5 feet off the line and found the soft spot. Gomez, Armin saves it. Bobby Heim just gets it across. Wildcats and Mapegwe. And Mapegwe fires up the heat, but it's out of bounds. And this one, a good one. 22-21. This one has lived up to the billing between number 1 and number 2 in the Desert Sky. Manali, Roberts in that back end. Minarsik, Mapegwe. Armin in that back end. Alejandro, Isaiah Kubisak, and the middle blockers. Mapegwe right there along with.
That was an impressive block. Number 11 there. Pressed his left hand over the net, took away that cross seam. You saw where Isaiah's shoulder was pointing, took away that cross. That was very impressive.
A combination of Rafael Mapegwe and Jacob Roberts, the senior and the junior combination, coming up with a block in the middle. So timeout on the floor. Seton, you're down 23-21, still within your reach. What's the message from Coach Engelbert?
You know, for Seton, I think that when their hitters are given opportunities, they're not really using their toolbox. They're swinging in the block, maybe trying to go for high hands, but they've been blocked a couple times. I'd love to see Seton use their toolbox a little bit more, mixing in some roll shots. A lot of Mesquite's deep corners are pretty open, so I'd say reaching in that toolbox, tooling with their open hand tips and not always just swinging away. If you see Mesquite, a lot of their kills are coming from off-speed shots, just seeing where the court's open and not even swinging 110%, just maybe a 70% shot to the open corners. So I think it's important for Seton to reach in that toolbox and find ways to score in other ways.
So the Sentinels head back on the court trailing 23-21. Of course, everyone in that Seton program knows the history. They've dropped 5 straight to Mesquite. So it's not just about winning this game and getting a share of the Desert Sky. It's also setting a message, Rachel, that they can play with Mesquite and beat them as well. And Armin with an opportunity and could not handle the return. And now it's the Wildcats a point away from taking this first set. Coach Engelbert trying to keep Armin focused as that one goes out of bounds.
And once again, another missed service error on Mesquite's side. This has truly been a game of runs. A lot of service errors, a lot of unforced errors on the hitting side. And that's a sky ball pass. Let's see if we'll put it away.
A shot from the outside. Seton trying to keep it alive. And they, good effort, but in the end, couldn't get it across. The big bomb from the outside from Adan Ricaro Campo. And Seton potentially could have let that one go out of bounds, so they dropped the first set 25-22. We'll take a short timeout here on the Seton Catholic Sports Network. Rachel Martinez and Joe Pequeno, the battle of 1 versus 2 in the Desert Sky. So welcome back to John J. McMahon Gym. Sentinels drop the first set to Mesquite, 25-22, as we get ready for the second set here with Rachel Martinez, the departing senior of the girls volleyball squad, the heralded libero. And Rachel, dissect the first set. Seton comes up short, 25-22. What did you see, and what do they have to do to take the second, potentially third?
Let's look at this game from a libero's perspective. So as a libero, if our team is struggling, particularly in serve receive, sometimes I like to think my responsibility is take a little bit of the load off the hitters. So that means in serve receive, trying to take at least 2/3 of the court here so that the hitters have more space to get out and get a good solid attack. They really need to take a little bit more control of the first contact to give their hitters more opportunities. And when they're on defense or on offense covering in transition, I think it's really important for the libero to call out what spots are open. I mentioned briefly about using the toolbox a little bit more, and a lot of that, in my opinion, lays on the libero in the back row's shoulder. When they're covering their hitters, they need to say, hit the short six, hit the seam, hit the hands, really calling out what's open. It makes it a lot easier on the hitters. So as libero, if you're looking at it from that standpoint, it's about how can I take some weight off my teammates and make my team around me play a little bit better.
So stepping back on the floor for Mesquite, Kevin Codling, Jesse Reyna, Rafael Mapegwe, Jacob Roberts, Jaden Minarsik, and Dominic Susi. On the other side for the Sentinels, Enzo Palmieri, Nick Parada, Armin Abdulazada, Santiago Gomez, Isaiah Kubisak, Bobby Heim, and of course Alejandro Burns. And Bobby Heim. I love everything about Bobby Heim. He just loves his athletic time for Seton as he goes back to the bench, and we begin the second set with Minarsik on the serve. Gomez gets it up in the air. Right in the middle. It's blocked by Mesquite. Another opportunity. And Parada fires it up. And quickly, Seton gets the first point of the second set.
That is a great first point for the Sentinels. A lot of ball control by the first contact. I like how they're spreading out the offense a little bit more. When you spread out the offense and you go between setting the right side, middle, and outside, it's hard for the middles on the other side to predict which side they're going to move. I think that by spreading out, starting off with the middle attack and then moving on to the outside, there is a huge seam in the block, provides it for a better opportunity for the outside hitter to put the ball away.
So quickly, the Sentinels with a 2-0 lead and make that three as Armin with the great serve right in the middle of the court, and that caught Kevin Codling in a bad position. So Seton coming out of the gates and responding quickly. Armin on a nice service run. And unfortunately, gives it back to the other side. So now Mesquite with an opportunity. And Jacob Roberts, the outside hitter, the senior at 6'5", will go to work, and as the Wildcats trailing by 2. And good thunder.
Big swing
by Aiden Ricario Campo right there in position. Caught the Sentinels in a bad defensive position, takes advantage, and now the lead is dwindled to 3-2. Gomez and Armin, excellent effort by the Sentinels to get it back across. Mapegwe, and Mapegwe once again bringing his athleticism right in the middle. And this one is tied at 3, so now Mesquite on a little bit of a run with Jacob Roberts on serve.
Yeah, a lot more physicality coming out in this set. The first contact has been more controlled, more opportunities for the hitters to try to score at least. A little high ball up there, mismanaged out of system set. Something to note about Mesquite is that they don't have a libero, so all of their players play 6 rotations, and I really like how they utilize the back row attacks for Mesquite. They kind of just put the big 6'5" guy in and say, swing away, put that ball down.
And they do that, and they do that well. So big time heat from the outside. Nick Parada on that right side of the court evens this one at 4 apiece. And now it's Enzo Palmieri, the senior middle hitter, with an opportunity to do some damage at the service line. A knock across. Mesquite. And this one fires up. This time a little too long for Ricario Campo. Seton now back on top 5-4. As Palmieri with another opportunity on the serve. Kevin Codling setting up that Mesquite offense. Burns gets it back across. Mesquite coming from that right side. Good effort by Burns. And Bobby Heim, one of the rare mistakes you'll see on the floor. He's just so pumped and full of energy. This time on the miss hit and gives it back the other way as this one is tied at 5. But you know what, Rachel, for me personally, I'd rather see a guy who's playing at 150 miles an hour than someone who's bringing half the energy.
Yeah, if anything, Bobby is playing 160 miles per hour. He's just always on the go. A lot of quick feet at the net. I love the quick split step that he uses. He's able to move pin to pin pretty well. It's great lateral movement. Just very dynamic as a middle blocker. Got some great height to him as well. It's very impressive.
So David Nakla stepping in for Alejandro Burns. Nakla, the middle hitter, junior. Parada on the serve, and this one is fired right back, and can't stress enough, and you've talked about this at great length, Rachel. Protect the serve, get it in play, and right now both teams struggling with their service games throughout this matchup. So on the serve is Jesse Reyna for Mesquite. Kubisak. Kubisak, a little soft touch.
Combination play right there.
Mesquite. Souza gets it across. Armin on the back end. Good combination.
Great play.
The fake, and Nakla from the right side bringing it down.
What a play by Nicholas Parada. I love how you can see his volleyball IQ really coming out right there. Earlier before that kill, they ran a combination play. 1 ball in the middle, 2 ball on the outside. Got Mesquite out of system. Free ball coming back over. As you can see, Nick Parada lances over at the other side. Looks to see where the blockers are at. Sees that their outside hitter is not going to be up on the C ball, chucks it back, and they're able to get a kill. That was a really impressive volleyball IQ play by Nick Parada.
IQ is so paramount in this one. This one gets across. Kubisak, Gomez digs it out. Bobby Heim blocked at the net. Gomez, right side, Nakla. Nakla fires it up and point in favor of Mesquite, ending a 3-0 run as John Engelbert coming out to talk to Santiago Gomez briefly.
A bit ironic, we were just talking about volleyball IQ. The reason why the Sentinels lost that point is because the libero used his hands in front of the 10-foot line. When the libero sets in front of the 10-foot line, your hitters are not allowed to jump and attack. And so when David Nakla jumped and attack, automatic point for Mesquite.
And we talked about Mr. 150 miles per hour. And he comes up big right there. Bobby Heim heading back to the bench. Now 9-7 Seton with Santiago Gomez on the serve. Gomez fires it to the left side of the floor. Reyna digs it out. And this time, a very rare mishit by Mesquite. Kevin Codling lost his balance, and the point goes in favor of the home team.
Yeah, I think you have to take note of Nick Parada coming in this second set, really taking over in that leadership role as a setter. He's doing a great job. He's spreading out the offense, getting some great touches on the block, overall putting his hitters in better positions.
Kubisak and Armin combining to get that ball across. And this time in the middle, Jacob Roberts high and hard, fires up the heat. And that gets Mesquite back on serve with Kevin Codling with an opportunity to build off that. And Codling fires it long, and now Seton with an opportunity. So, as well as we've seen both middles on both sides play, what we've seen consistently is a lack of consistent serving on both sides. As Mapegwe Kubisak is that offensive dominator athletically for Seton, and no question, Rafael Mapegwe is that player for Mesquite. And Mapegwe, 6'3", but he can jump out of the gym as well. Kubisak digs it out. Burns, a little touch across by Palmieri. Minarsik. Roberts gets it across. Kubisak. Burns. Parada. And Parada looks like he came up short, or Mapegwe was there, and now this one.
Yeah, interesting offensive setup choice for Seton Catholic here. Running a 6-2 offense, which means there's always going to be 3 hitters in the front row. Setter's going to be in right back defense. Splitting the 6-2 setting time between Ollie and Nick Parada. Definitely interesting. I think that they want to try to spread the offense out more a little bit and keep the one-on-one blocking on the other side. So we'll see how that works out for them.
So Minarsik gives it right back to Seton as Armin, the junior at 5'10", locking in and fires it across. Souza hustling to get it back over the net. The soft touch by Roberts, and this one going over our heads as Santiago Gomez gave it an Olympian-like effort. Unfortunately, could not get it across, and once again, these two teams pretty evenly matched once again in a tightly contested second set. Kubisak burns at the net, saves it.
Great
as Seton gets
play.
it across. Minarsik, the fake by Mapegwe. Souza on the outside, Burns. Parada bringing the thunder. The
Great
left-handed
play.
laser. And the
that
point.
Play by Nick Parada. Great touch on the block. Gets his transition out there. Ollie sets him up. Tool off the hands. This is how Seton Catholic is going to win this game, by using their volleyball IQ. Mesquite has huge physicality. I mean, 6'5", 6'3" blockers. They're going to have to use the hands and find ways to score in other ways. And Mesquite is just pounding the ball down.
And for Coach Engelbert, you got to be so happy knowing you've got Nick Parada and Armin coming back for their senior seasons as Mapegwe once again throws it down. Rafael Mapegwe and Coach Engelbert talked about it. He says, look, we got to get the ball away from their middles, and that was a key for Seton in this game. And Mapegwe, he's been a one-man wrecking crew, and maybe it's a good thing he serves and he's not in position in that middle. And Parada firing it up as Roberts, Minarsik, and that one hits off the pole, and it hits off a...
Yeah, those are the worst. I mean, you never know where the ball's going to bounce off of. It's hard to read. That's just... You got to keep the ball away from the basketball hoops. I've learned that the hard way.
It hits off one of the rafters and the top of the gym. So needs to say, Seton gets the bonus as Parada goes back on serve. Roberts in the middle. Minarsik, left side. Armin try to bump it up right into Gomez, and that ends a short Seton run as the Wildcats now with an opportunity, and Sienna Herlahai
Bit
and
of
her
a
team.
miscue on the Sentinels side, but they're really slowing down Rafael tonight. He's gotten a couple kills, but he's playing 6 rotations, and they're not really relying on him in the back row. So Seton has been holding up their mission to slow down the middles.
So Gomez gets it across, rain on that back end. Minarsik, Souza, Gomez, Parada, Isaiah Kubisak, and Kubisak gets blocked as Kevin Codling up for the task and fires it back across for the block and point.
The tough part about being the #1 point scorer for the Sentinels is you pretty much know where the ball is going to go when Isaiah's in the front row. He is their top point scorer. You want to get the ball to him almost every time, keep feeding him, get him fired up, get him going. But if you're Mesquite, you're going to commit to the outside hitter because that's where the ball is going to go. So Isaiah's going to have 2 blockers up on him most of the time. So you're just going to have to read around that, maybe hit some deep cross shots to find a way to score.
And Rachel, that's always going to be tough on the back row when you think a serve is going to go out and it drops in, and you've got to say, look, that's on me, and try to recoup and play for the next point. So Seton now trailing 15-14. And Bobby Heim, Mr. Energy, steps in and fires up a winner.
Bobby Heim getting started. It's exciting to see him getting fired up and getting a couple kills on the board here.
Bobby coming off that bench and providing that burst of energy. Mapegwe, and Mapegwe shoots one almost out of the gym, and that gives Seton another point now, 16-15. Coach Engelbert talked about last season getting swept by Mesquite, and he said, what my team learned, we were in every match. We had the opportunity. We've drawn closer. Now it's up to our team to knock the door in and take the next step as Codling delivers the point. and ties this one at 16. And Dominic Suzy goes back to serve. And the chance of SCP ring at John J. McMahon Gym. And this one goes out as David Knockla was looking for the point on the right side. So it's Mesquite with a 17-16 lead.
Yeah, I like that swing by Knockla. Quick little cross short court shot. Ball behind was up there, ready to go on the one. That's really important for Bobby to try to fake out that middle on the other side, draw away the blockers. And once again, Bobby. Wow, a lot of that credit goes to Bobby. Sure, it was a great swing by Armin, but when Bobby's up in the air, the middle has to commit, and he's not able to get out to the pin all the way. So there's only one block on Armin, took advantage of that seam and swing away. So it's a full team effort on that point.
So Armin from that left side fires up the point. This one knotted at 17. Gomez, Reyna, Minarsik, Codling. Gomez with the hustle. Reyna on the back end. Minarsik tries to fire it across. Parada couldn't handle the heat from Minarsik, so it's Mesquite back on top, 18-17. And Rachel, we talked about this one, the two top teams in the Desert Sky. This one not disappointing whatsoever. Effort and energy and the intensity delivered by both sides.
Very scrappy game for sure. Santiago Gomez has been all over the place this game.
So Mesquite trailing by one. Knockla blocked. Mesquite trying to keep it alive, and good work on the other side by Jacob Roberts on that outside. The senior now puts Mesquite up 19-17. Codling back to serve for Mesquite. Kubisak, Parada, Armin gets blocked by Lepegwe, and it goes out of bounds, so Armin delivers on a much-needed stop for Seton and draws the Sentinels within one. Alejandro Burns, the sophomore, stepping in. Service game paramount right now. And you hate to see that. The sophomore coming in and goes to the service line and gives it right back.
Yep, back in row one. This is a really great rotation for the Sentinels, though, because you have back row setter Nick Parada on the outside, Armin on the right side, very spread out offense. Oh, and quick side out, missed serve by Mesquite. 19-20, this is going to be an important time for Seton to go on a run.
So Minarsik gives it right back as Armin at front line. You got Parada, Kubisak, as well as Enzo Palmieri. Kevin Codling try to keep it alive, could not. Now knotted at 20. First one was a battle. First set in which Mesquite won 25-22. And now here we are knotted at 20 in the second set. Armin fires it across. Minarsik, right side. Jacob Roberts try to fire up the heat, comes up empty, right into the net. And now Seton with a 1-point lead.
Little mini run by Armin, but a great spot to put Seton in.
And as we've talked about throughout the telecast, can Seton keep it alive on the service? Armin does that. Spoke too soon, hits the top of the net, gives it right back. So now knotted at 21. So unforced errors paramount down this second set. Kubisak, Alejandro, Parada. And Parada blocked by Rafael Lepegwe. Lepegwe, his imprint been all over this one. Mesquite now with a 22-21 lead.
Yeah, that's a tough wall to hit over. It's a big wall from Mesquite.
Alejandro, Kubisak, once again, Lepegwe right there, along with Macario Campo. And Seton calls a timeout. Your coach Engelbert, you were up 21-20. Now you've seen Mesquite roll off 3 straight points. What's the message for the Sentinels right now?
Sentinels really need to side out on this ball. Just getting a high ball, even on the 10-foot line, just any hittable ball will be important for the hitters. swing off the high hands. Right now they're swinging right into the meat of the blocker's hands, going straight down. I mean, that's what's going to happen when you have Rafael. 6'3" middle blocker. He's been coming up with some huge blocks and big time moments. So I think as the back row defenders, you need to let your hitters know what's open and how they can score.
So John Engelbert in the middle of the huddle, and on the other side, Sienna Herlahai doing a great job. Her assistants, Claudia Paulson, John Engelbert's staff, Chris Mann, the assistant coach, Jordan Manuel, as well as Annabella Parada.
Yeah, I think if you're Mesquite in this situation, you want to say, okay, we're going to stay disciplined on this block, this next play. Mesquite's been playing some pretty great disciplined defense. Their blockers aren't really reaching too much. They're trusting their defenders behind them. Great system set up. They're being really successful on defense.
So Seton down 2 with Roberts on the serve, and Roberts serves up an air ball essentially, and now an opportunity for Enzo Palmieri, the senior, with Seton down 23-22. Palmieri knocks it across. That alone, paramount. It's Codling. Susie gets it across. Armin that back end. Burns, Bobby Heim, soft touch. Minarsik. Good work by Palmieri. Parada gets it across. Roberts. Mapegwe. Susie. And Susie gets the point. And a 24-22 Mesquite advantage. Another timeout on the floor. And Seton just came out of a short time out just seconds ago. A 1 point for Mesquite, and they block up the second set. John Engelbert, what's the message for the Sentinels right now?
For the Sentinels, they're really killing themselves at this point. They're hitting into the block a lot. They're not staying disciplined on their own block. I think that Seton just needs to tighten up a little bit, control their own side, and they'll be just fine.
So the Sentinels dropped the first set 25-22. Had a 21-20 lead in Mesquite. The squad with a record of 12-7 overall, 9-2 in section play. Rising to the occasion, Mesquite 8-1 at home, 4-4 away, neutral 0-2 for Seton on home floor, 6-2 overall, 5-3, and on neutral territory, a record of 4-7. But this one is all about the Sentinels on senior night at John J. McMahon Gym. And Mapegwe on the serve for Mesquite, fires it across. Isaiah Kubisak. Alejandro Kubisak knocks it across. Mapegwe, Susie, Armin, Alejandro, right side. Parada fires it. John Roberts on the save. This one high into the rafters. Mapegwe knocks it across. And Mapegwe, the winner. And that gives the Wildcats the second set. So Mesquite takes the first set 25-22. And comes right back and takes the second set 25-22. Rachel, what did you see down the stretch for Mesquite to pull off the second set victory?
Mesquite was very disciplined. They kept their serves in. Their block was not reaching. They were trusting their defenders behind them. It's tough to get past that block as it is, but when you have a great defensive back line, it's even harder to score. I think that Seton really beat themselves at the end of the set. A lot of serving errors, a lot of hitting errors, not much ball control on their side. So if Seton cleans up their own side of the net, it's going to be a lot more competitive next set.
We'll take a short timeout here on the Seton Catholic Sports Network. It's number 1 Mesquite versus number 2 Seton Catholic. More from John J. McMahon Gym coming up in just a bit. third set between number 1 Mesquite and number 2 Seton in the Desert Sky. Sentinels dropped the first set 25-22. They dropped the second set 25-22. Rachel, third set. What do the Sentinels have to do to stay alive and continue to a fourth?
Number one, they need to probably make their serves a little bit more. And just in general, ball control. The first contact has been pretty solid. Santiago Gomez holding down the fort. I think that the second contact can be cleaned up a little bit, put their setters in better positions, and then more communication between the back row and the front row. I think that the middle blocker and the libero relationship is so critical in volleyball because the middle blocker sets up where the block is, which then leads to where the back row is going to be set up. So I think just more communication on the Seton side is going to go a long way.
So Enzo Palmieri gets us going in a good way, and the quality serve that Mesquite could not get across. So Seton draws the first silo in
Bobby
this.
Heim is getting hyped up already. I'd love to see him get a little bit more engaged in this seg, set him a couple more balls. Hasn't really been being put in great position to get kills. Great block by Bobby, getting up there and pressing over the net.
That back end through the rafters, that was impressive. Kubisak,
Right on target.
Right off Kevin Codling, and Seton, just like the second set, jumping out quick.
That was an impressive pass by Armin. It's pretty tough to get it right on target while going through the rafters as well.
No question. That was a magic act that plenty of magicians would be very impressed with. So
just contributing to the overall magic of the Seton gem in general.
So Palmieri comes out as the serve is long, and going to work is Jaden Minarsik and Sienna Herlahai, keeping her rotation very tight for Mesquite.
Yeah, Mesquite has a very interesting rotation. Like I said, no libero. Most of their players are playing 6 rotation, not coming out. So just coming out swinging front row and back row, firing on all cylinders.
Seton leading 3-1 with Parada on the serve and fires up a laser that Susie cannot handle. And now 4-1 Seton. Parada.
Solid service pressure from the Sentinels. It's going to be important this set.
We've seen both teams misfire on the service game, and so far Seton in this third has been impressive. And it's Jacob Roberts on that outside, bringing the heat and delivering the point for Mesquite. Coach Engelberg directing traffic for his squad, and that one way long. And the Sentinels now up 5-2. Kubisak fires a dart across the Pegway. Good work on the Seton back end. Armin tried to bump it across. Bobby Heim right there. A little knock over. Roberts shooting it up. Susie on that outside. Kubisak on the back end. Parada. Kubisak fires it up. Good work by the Wildcats back end. Roberts on the other side. Kubisak on that back end. Bobby Heim, and Bobby Heim, a little left-handed touch, and sometimes a little touch is all you need.
That was a nice rally by the Sentinels. Solid volleyball, good defense. I love how they're incorporating the back row attack, the big from Isaiah Kubisak. It's a lot more common in the men's game. Men's more physical. They get up a little bit higher, swing away a little bit more. Love to see that more incorporated through Kubisak and Armin. And, of course, killed by Rafael. Who's surprised here? Not me.
Yeah, Mapegway. Such a dominant force in this match for Mesquite, the junior, with ridiculous athletic skill. Mesquite now down 6-3. Sentinels, Kubisak trying to get it across as the quality serve by Mapegway keeps
both
the Wildcats on serve.
Giving max effort. A lot of scramble plays. It's fun to watch.
Mapegway on that back end. And Seton picks up the point. Bobby Heim steps out. And stepping in, Enzo Palmieri. Santiago Gomez in. Susie. Kevin Codling right there, and Codling fires up a winner. Now 7-5. Stepping back in, Jesse Reyna. Stepping out is Ricario Campo. Sienna Herlahai, first-year head coach, doing a nice job with this Mesquite program. And Rachel, look, in your time, you've played against Mesquite numerous times as Reyna drops in the point. How intense is the rivalry, regardless of the sport, between Mesquite and Seton, being the geography of these schools being so close and in the same league?
I'd say it's pretty intense across all sports. I know for girls volleyball, it gets very intense. It's really competitive for sure because the wins and losses go back and forth. I know Seton's given away the last 5 games to Mesquite, but I mean, they're right there with them. The score was 22-25 last set. Just clean up a little bit of their own errors, and it's right there. It's anyone's ball game, truly.
So Armin sizes up at 5'10", looked about 7'10" on that winner. Codling tried to get it across. And Enzo Palmieri finds the soft spot on the court and a winner for Seton. And it's now 9-6. Back on serve. Jonathan Johnson-Rieger.
Love that spot by Enzo Palmieri. Great set by Nick Parada. And ace serve.
Great quality diving serve. Reyna could not dig it out. And Seton now leading by 4, 10-6. Johnson-Rieger. Mapegway. Susie, Gomez, Parada, right side, Kubisak, little soft touch. Make that Armin on the left side. Armin skying and delivering. And for the first time, it's Mesquite calling a timeout. Seton on a very impressive run, rolling off several points. What did you see from Seton on these last 4 or 5 points?
Seton's playing great defense, siding out very quickly, putting on a lot of pressure on Mesquite. When you put on service pressure, you're getting them out of system, not able to set the middles, not really putting their pins in great positions to score either, and it's really easy breezy defense from there. And Nick Parada is really setting up the hitters in great position to score as well.
So on the other side, Mesquite facing some adversity for the first time. They've handled it well, grinding through 2 first set victories. What do you see from Mesquite as they try to get back on track?
I think Seton's applying a lot of service pressure right now, and Mesquite's not handling it very well. It's a lot of out-of-system passes, not really setting up their hitters, like I said, and in general, Seton's winning the serve and pass game.
So we are back to the action with Mesquite bringing in their nucleus of Kevin Codling, Jesse Reyna, Rafael Mapegway, Jacob Roberts, Jaden Minarsik, Dominic Suzy. Stepping on the floor for Seton, Armin, Parada, Palmieri, Gomez, Kubisak, and Johnson-Rieger. And a good touch by Suzy for the point. And Rachel, when John Engelbert brings Johnson-Rieger in, and there's no question he's doing it at the service line, was that a strategic move for his ability off the service line to give Seton a chance to get into a good offensive rhythm? Oh, definitely. Johnson-Rieger just brings a whole new level of competitiveness. He has solid serve receive, great serving, just in general a great athlete. He's always fun to watch, and I think that he brings a new edge to the Seton team this set. And Enzel Palmieri finds the middle of the floor, and that gives Seton a 12-7 lead as Armin goes back on serve, and Seton with their biggest lead in this match so far. See if they can capitalize. Armin fires it across. Good serve. Minarsik. Roberts. Good block on the back end. Wildcats. Minarsik. Codling. And Codling finds the winner as Armin diving across. Could not get it across. So Codling comes up big. Right side, middle hitter, the senior. Now he goes back on serve. Wildcats trailing by 4. Johnson Rieger. Good little touch across. Parada was looking for the quick little no-look bump. Could not find the court, so 2 quick points by Mesquite.
Now Johnson Rieger,
closer, 12-9.
right on the dot there for Nick Parada. That's a great unforced error in my opinion. He's being nice and aggressive. That's an error that you would be okay with as a coach because you're attempting to score. That type of unforced error from the ace, on the other hand, not really something you're looking for as a coach. That's a bit of a miscue between the two passers, and you just don't want balls to drop without anyone making an effort for it.
So Kevin Codling gets that back line. Keeps Mesquite on serve. Parada. Kubisak just has to knock it across. Minarsik. Roberts. Johnson Rieger. Parada this time. And Rachel, you've talked about it. Isaiah Kubisak hasn't been in too many good positions. He hasn't been set well. That time, Seton, perfection in their offensive attack.
Yeah, it was a great set by Nick Parada. Of course, Kubisak comes in with the bounce ball. What else are you going to expect from Kubisak? Line wide open, bounces it down the line. Classic.
Classic Kubisak all the way. We call him Special K here on campus. Minarsik, Kevin Codling, and Codling. Great effort by Johnson Rieger.
Johnson Rieger laying it out.
And you got to love that effort, and maybe Coach Engelbert pushing the right buttons, bringing Johnson Rieger for his service game, and no question the energy, finding that middle and saving that potential point.
Full team effort there. Johnson Rieger laid it out. Bobby Heim pressing over on the block. Once, like I said before, once you get Bobbert Heim fired up, no going back from there.
So Bobby Heim in that middle. Enzo Palmieri. And Parada, miss hit in the middle, goes out of bounds. So 14-11. This one, another war, is Minarsik with his blue headband, ready to attack. Fires it up. And Johnson Rieger and Kubisak in that back end.
That was a tough serve by Mesquite. Putting on a lot of service pressure now for Mesquite. Close score, 14-12. Little run by Mesquite, and they're back in this game.
14-12 as Minarsik fires it across. Johnson Rieger skies it up. Parada, Kubisak. Kubisak fires it up. Suzy, Minarsik, Mapegwe. And Mapegwe finds the left corner for the point.
Mapegwe, great volleyball IQ shot. Saw that deep corner open. A bit out of system. Rolled it right over the hands of Kubisak and Heim. They already set up a big block, but utilizing that to your advantage is important.
Johnson Rieger in that middle. Parada. Johnson Rieger just has to bump it across. Codling. Minarsik setting up the left side. Armin fires up the return. Kubisak nails it across. Minarsik. John Roberts. Good work by the Seton in the middle. Kubisak, that left side, fires it up. Suzy saves it. The bump across. Johnson Rieger. Parada. And this time, point goes against Seton. And this one knotted at 14.
That was some lockdown defense on both sides. Armin came up with a huge dig. Mesquite's digging balls down the line, left and right. That's some exciting action here.
Kubisak gets it across. John Roberts fires it up, and John Roberts bringing the thunder for the Wildcats. And now it's the Wildcats back on top, 15-14. And if you're John Engelbert, are you close to calling a timeout?
Oh, for sure. This is a really long run by Mesquite. I would have called a timeout probably last point.
So
just
this
to get
one
some
high in the
control.
rafters. Armin digs it out, sends it back the other way. And the call goes against the Wildcats. And we are knotted at 15 as David Nakla checks in, and Johnson Rieger got some really good moments on the court, steps out. So David Nakla steps in. What can Seton expect from him in this final stretch?
Nakla is a raw athlete. As you see right there from that play, he gets up pretty high. He's new to volleyball. This is actually his first year playing volleyball. So like I said, raw athlete. Love to see him jump. As he gets a little bit more familiar with the volleyball movements, he's definitely going to be a threat, but he's just thumping that ball straight down on the overpass. Love to see that.
So Nakla comes up big immediately. Ball's high in the air. Mesquite doing a good job of just getting it across. Gomez trying to set up his teammates. And Santiago Gomez fires it right in the mug of John Roberts. And this time, the Seton Red knocking off the big blue of Mesquite, and Seton with a 2-point lead.
Yeah, I love that swing by Isaiah Kusak. He's really taking advantage of the right side, right hand of the block. Target for him to tool at that point. It wasn't really pressed over the net, so very high volleyball IQ play. Missed serve by Parada. Tough moment, but in these moments, you do have to serve tough. I mean, the reason why Seton's been staying in this game is because of the service pressure. Mesquite hasn't been getting great kills on them because of the service pressure. So I think that while that's a tough error to make, it's critical in these moments to put on service pressure.
So both sides doing an excellent job. Want to give Parada or Nakla, one of those two young men, knocked it across, and Mesquite couldn't handle it. So Seton now with a 2-point lead, 18-16. Kubisak on the serve. Kubisak firing up. Mapegwe saving it. Parada. Bobby Heim blocked. Going back the other way. Roberts. Minarsik. Mapegwe blocked by Bobby Heim. Heim up. Parada. Armin. And it's blocked on the other side. And this time Armin comes up big. 5-10. Skying and delivering. And Seton with a 3-point lead.
What a great swing. High off the hands by Isaiah Kubisak. Like I said, tooling off the right-hand blocker. Really utilizing that. And if you're going to set the ball to finish the play, you're going to probably set it to Isaiah Kubisak.
And Bobby Heim. As far as I'm concerned, his new name is Mr. Heim.
Taking care of the overpass. Whole student section is fired up behind us. The JV team cheering for him. Bobby's got great character on and off the court. He's someone you want to see succeed. And there he is, pressed over the block. Love to see it. Bobby Heim going at about 170% by now.
21-16, and Mesquite calling a timeout. Bobby Heim, the young man just learning how to play volleyball, stepping up big in this rivalry matchup in the last couple points.
Yeah, what I love to see about Bobby Heim is he's new to volleyball, goes in the court, gets fired up and says, I'm going to hit this ball hard and I'm going to block the ball straight down. That's exactly what he does. It's fun to watch.
So Seton, 4 points away of getting back in this match. What do they have to do to secure the Final Four and take this third set?
Ooh, the last 4 points, they're going to be tough. You have to keep applying service pressure. And I'd say just keep that ball control up. They're controlling that first contact and putting their hitters in better positions. They're getting more and more kills as the set progresses. So I think Nick Broad is doing a better job of setting them up.
So here we go. The set play by Seton will be paramount for this last point stretch. So they try to secure this third set. And for Mesquite, a squad that has already taken the first 2 sets, and you see Mapegwe, he's fired up. Kevin Codling's fired up. John Roberts, look. Mesquite not losing their poise. They're bringing the energy. They're ready to get after it. Kubisak fires it across. Minarsik, Mapegwe, and Mapegwe bringing the heat like we've seen throughout this match, and he fires up a winner. And it's now 21-17. And maybe it's a good thing Mapegwe is off the net and on the serve. And that's a good thing for Seton to get him off that front line. Mapegwe, good serve. Gomez digs it out. Roberts, good work by Seton. Kubisak knocks it across. Minarsik setting up the right side. Isaiah scoops it out. Nakla across. Mapegwe in that back end. Minarsik. Roberts blocked by Bobby Heim.
Bobby Heim.
Mapegwe. This one knocked across. And the point in favor of Seton. And once again, Mr. Heim, no longer Bobby Heim as far as I'm concerned. It's now Mr. Heim coming up with a key block.
Pressing over the net, as he always does.
His short stint comes up big as he heads back to the other side. Good block in the middle by Enzo Palmieri. Palmieri coming up big in the middle. And Seton closing in on a third set victory. 2 points away, and sometimes the twos make that the 2 points is always the hardest. Gomez shoots it across.
Oh, ace serve by
And that one
Gomez.
catches the line as Mapegwe tells Susie to let it go. So Seton now down 24-17 with Santiago Gomez shooting it across. Mapegwe, Palmieri, and there it is. Seton rallies, taking the third set, 25-17. And Big Red in front of the home crowd on senior night has life, pushing it to a fourth set. So Rachel, Seton had to come up big in that third set. They do. Now down 2-1. They win the third set 25-17. What'd you see from Coach Engelbert's squad in that third set?
Man, from that third set, they really controlled the ball on their side. Not many errors. They had a couple service errors, but those I think are necessary in sets like that to put the service pressure on. I think they really just controlled their side of the net.
So we will take a short time out here on the Seton Catholic Sports Network. Rachel Martinez, Joe Pequeno. It's 1 versus 2, and you got it right here from John J. McMahon Gym. John J. McMahon Gym, Seton Catholic, alive and kicking, winning the third set 25-22. Rachel Martinez, the libero, one of the greats in Seton volleyball history. On the analyst call, Joe Pequeno right here. Glad you can join us here on the Seton Catholic Sports Network. So the Sentinels now pushing it to a fourth set. And no question, played much better in the third, setting up their outside hitters. What can we expect from Seton to do in this fourth set to push it to a fifth?
I'm expecting Seton to engage their middles more, specifically Bobby Heim. He really brought it up last set, brought the heat on the kills and the blocks, and just overall court presence. He's someone that you love to watch to play. Santiago Gomez has been playing great all night, having great cover plays as the libero. Solid serve receive, and having Johnson Rigger in the game as well really create a higher level serve receive game for the Sentinels.
No question, Johnson Rigger coming in might have been a paramount move in that third set. stabilized the service game, got Seton into a good offensive rhythm, helped them set their outside hitters, and now Seton coming out, taking that first point of the fourth set with Prod on serve, and there he is. We've talked about Rafael Mapegwe, and Mapegwe once again letting Seton know he's not going away. Coming up and fires up the heat, and this one knotted at 1. John Roberts make that Jacob Roberts back on serve. Kubisak and Bobby Heim, Mr. Energy, Mr. Seton firing it up. And Bobby Heim, a first-year volleyball player, and you would never know it by his athleticism and his love for playing.
That was incredible. A great set by Nick Parada, too. Running a fast offense. Oh, off the hands, back set. Solid swing by Nakla. Free ball coming over. Santiago Gomez taking care of it.
Parada, Kubisak, and Kubisak fires it right into the net. And Rachel, once again, we kind of talked about it. Kubisak is such an incredible weapon on that outside. They've got to be able to put him in position to use his athletic skill at the net and not be so far away and taking him out of position to be an offensive attacker.
Yep, I think that especially having Nick Prada in the back row, if you utilize the 3 hitters in the front and Kubisak in the back row at this point, that's going to be hard. Then you're firing on all cylinders. It's going to be hard for the blockers on the other side to read it. Put Nakla in a great position, a little bit of a hitting error right there, but overall just spreading out the offense is going to be really important, especially when you're playing huge physical teams like Mesquite.
So Mapegwe on the serve, and I can't say enough. Look, I think I might start the Bobby Heim fan club along with the Rachel Martinez fan club that I've started here on campus, because every time Bobby Heim steps on the court, good things happen. And I just told this that he just recently signed a baseball scholarship with the University of Iowa. So Bobby Heim, no question, on this campus of Seton Catholic, one of the most gifted athletes, and obviously can blend in any environment, and no question, charismatic among his fellow classmates.
Oh, without a doubt. And the thing about Bobby is he has pure athleticism, but his court presence is just unmatched. He comes on the court, positive energy, gets his teammates fired up, gets excited for his teammates, and he's someone that you want to play with. He's someone that you want to be on the court with, having a great time, great communicator, overall fantastic teammate.
And Armin, once again, 5'10", and incredible hops from that left side, out-dueling Ricario Campo on that left side for the point. Seton with a 5-3 lead with Santiago Gomez on serve. Susie digs it out. Minarsik, and this time it's Kevin Codling in a perfect position. Blast a laser on that right side, and Mesquite pulling within 1 as Jesse Reyna goes back on serve.
Yeah, early on in the set, 5-4. It's going to be a close game, especially if the serve and pass game is going back and forth.
Reyna fires it across. Kubisak in that back end. Armin. Parada gets it across. Codling once again finding the soft spot, beating Santiago Gomez. And this one knotted at 5.
Yeah, I think that when you're put in that situation, a little bit out of system, shanked pass, but what you really need to do if you're Armin is set Isaiah in the back row. It's so important to get a good quality swing over the net to try to get Mesquite out of system. Open, ball drop, miscue between the passers. That's not a great scenario you want to be in when the game's only 5-6. I mean, that's a huge momentum shift. Is having that mistrust and miscommunication between 2 passers is huge.
Mesquite on a run now, taking a 6-5 lead, and Reyna, after finding the back end of the court, this time gives it right back, and we are knotted at 6 as Johnson Rieger stepping in. And we talked about the pivotal move in that third set, getting him in the game, getting him in the match on the service game, and John Engelbert pulling that move right here, tied at 6 in the 4th.
Solid serve by Johnson Rieger.
Gomez and Isaiah Kubisak, and that time it was Mesquite finding the perfect spots on the floor that the Sentinels could not counter. And Mesquite back on top, 7-6. Susie, Santiago Gomez, Parada, Armin fires it up, Codling on the block. Kubisak, Parada, the bump across, and just a great hustle play by Parada. I don't even know if he saw the ball, just knocked it across. Good athleticism, and it leads to a point.
Yeah, it's a solid scramble play. Began with Santiago Gomez, great cover off the block. He's been there all night, right behind his hitters. It really gives your hitters a lot of confidence if you know your libero is right behind you. Hitters are swinging away, playing fearlessly. I love to see that.
7-7, and all of a sudden you could hear a pin drop, and John J. McMahon Gem just for a short second. Reyna gets it across Minarsik, and how about right there in the middle? Parada almost knocked it for the winner. Codling looking for the soft touch. Mapegwe, Minarsik, Codling, and Kubisak couldn't get it back across, and now it's Mesquite with a 1-point lead.
Yeah, something that you want to fix in that situation is as a blocker, your intention is a see ball, get ball. Grab that ball off the net, especially when it's coming so tight and they're tipping it over. You want to take advantage, take charge, and grab that ball.
So Mesquite picks up the point. Little hand violation by Seton as Kevin Codling back on serve. Gomez and Parada, the no-look, little Magic Johnson volleyball style, finding the open spot. Now 9-8. Seton trailing, and Mr. Magic back on the floor. Lean, mean, cool operator, and that is Bobby Heim. Palmieri on the serve. Reyna, Minarsik. Jacob Roberts, soft touch over. Parada gets it back over immediately. Susie on the back end. Roberts, little bump. Palmieri, Parada, right side. Isaiah Kubisak laying the lumber. Kevin Codling, call an ambulance. Take that man to the hospital after taking the missile across the body. This one knotted at 9.
The crowd fired up. Great swing by Kubisak. Once again, down the line. A lot of Parada's sets are taking him down the line, but he's taking advantage of it. Right back defense, not quite ready for that.
Knotted at 9. Mapegwe with the excellent effort getting across for Mesquite. Parada setting up Kubisak. Mapegwe and Minarsik. Great tandem on that return. And Parada skying and getting the point. And Seton back on top 10-9.
Yeah, great joustment by Parada, getting up on that net, pushing that ball over. That's what we're talking about. See ball, get ball, grabbing it and pushing over. You love to see the aggressive hands from the blockers on both sides.
Palmieri gets it across. Point in favor. As Susie on that back end says, look, that was on me. And sometimes if you're a player and you know you had to make the point, you look, take the onus. It's on me. He lets his teammates know that on the Mesquite side. They regroup. And for Seton, an 11-9 lead after taking the third set, 25-22. Palmieri on serve. Shoots a nice one across, and Reyna just fires it to the wall on the back end. And Seton.
Back-to-back aces by Palmieri. Great service pressure from the Sentinels. Let's see how Mesquite's going to respond. Looks like there's a bit of a miscue. Shifting up the serve-receive formation. Going back to 3 passers in the back row. Let's see if they can handle a serve a bit better this time.
4 straight points for Seton as Bobby Heim right there in the middle. That one off the rafters. And Seton has rolled off 5 straight points.
Yeah, the funny thing about Mr. Heim here is he doesn't know that when the ball hits the rafters and goes to the other team side, it's automatically a point. So he was just aggressive, getting up on that overpass, swung away, ball to the floor, and he thought that he scored the point. But it's going in the stat books as an error on Mesquite's side, but in our hearts, it's a kill by Mr. Heim.
Palmieri steps out, Santiago Gomez back in, and Bobby Heim is trying to lift up Palmieri on the way out. And love this about Bobby Heim. Look, if I'm starting a sports franchise tomorrow on the prep circuit, I don't care what the sport is, Bobby Heim's on my team. Kubisak finds the spot, and Kubisak delivers right off the blockers over Mapegwe and Ricario Campo. Good touch, gets the point.
Nekla coming in. Big server for Seton Catholic here. We'll see if Nick Parada can come up with a run, score a couple points.
So Parada fires it up. Macario Campos. Susie tries to get it across. Heim knocks it back over. Susie. Mapegwe. And this time it's Mapegwe bringing the intangibles in the middle. And those intangibles lead to a point. And now a 14-11 Seton lead. Jacob Roberts on serve. Fires it across. And that one is long and gives it right back.
Yeah,
and
looking
right
at
now, Mesquite.
From a sports psychology standpoint, having Mr. Heim on the court here is so important for the Sentinels. He knows the perfect time to have some fun, to take it seriously. Doesn't get hung up on his mistakes. He's ready to go. He's a fun player to watch.
So now it's Seton once again matching their biggest lead of this match. 5 points, up 16-11. Kubisak with the laser off the net and another winner. Now 17-11, and all of a sudden Mesquite facing adversity for the second set in a row. And there's a timeout on the floor. And if you're Sentinels Nation right now, you're standing loud and proud. You're rolling off points with a 6-point lead. And maybe right now for the Sentinels, they're in the mindset of Mesquite with a 6-point lead as Mesquite facing adversity in this fourth set.
Yeah, I think Isaiah Kubisak really coming in clutch once again with the service pressure, swinging down the line. Robert Heim, this lineup is really hitting the sweet spot for Seton Catholic right here. Scoring a lot of points, great ball control, great energy on the court. This is what you expect to see when you come to the Seton gym. This is the type of volleyball you like to see.
So from a passion standpoint, Rachel, and it's all about that when you step on any court. What are you seeing from Seton right now, knowing the history between these two teams? They've lost 5 in a row to Mesquite, closing out the regular season right here with a shot to get a share of the Desert Sky.
Yeah, I think truthfully both teams are riding a bit of a roller coaster right now. Seton just happens to be up on their roller coaster. Mesquite's riding a little bit down, becoming a little bit mental. Seton's on their senior night right now, so a lot of emotions running high for them. They know what's on the line here, sharing a bit of that Region Sky Championship, and I think it's getting to both of the teams' head. It's just a matter of is it positive or negative.
So Mapegwe comes up with a point for Mesquite, and he'll go back on serve. And once again, we've talked about this. I'd rather have Mapegwe on the back end than in the middle. So Kevin Codling, also very talented, moves up in that middle spot. Kubisak, Armin tried to get it across and could not. And the lead now down to 4.
Yeah, a bit of a tough situation for Armin there. Ball was on his left shoulder, dropping below the net. That's just a tough ball to put over the net. Nick Parada took ownership for that, so let's see if Seton can turn this point right here. Tough service pressure, handled well by Santiago.
David Nakla, and Nakla fires it up. Mesquite can't return it. Now an 18-13 Seton lead. Stepping in and stepping out. Bobby Heim is out. Stepping back in is Enzo Palmieri, the senior. Gomez. Mapegwe gets it up. Minarsik. Codling gets it across. Gomez. Kubisak blocked at the net by Mesquite. Mapegwe. Minarsik. Susie fires it up, and it's a winner for Mesquite.
I love that back row attack by Isaiah Kubisak. He got a solid swing on it, but like I said before, the tough thing about being Isaiah Kubisak is the ball's probably going to go to him a good amount of the time, so the blockers are expecting it. He had 3 blockers up, but thankfully Santiago Gomez is right behind him covering. Brings a lot of confidence to his hitters for sure.
Jesse Reyna fires in the back end, a great serve. Gomez and Armin doing a great job getting it back in. Reyna, Minarsik, Susie fires it up. Kubisak, Gomez just need a bump across, and Parada delivers it. Mapegwe is there. Minarsik, big time slam by Kevin Codling, and Codling fires up a point, and the lead is now down to 3 with Reyna back on serve. And if you're John Engelbert, you got the pulse of your team. He's watching closely as Reyna fires it across, and now the student body into this one in a big way. Parada, Armin, little bump across, And Armin finds the touch, ending the Mesquite run. And now a 19-15 lead. And once again, a paramount move by John Engelbert, bringing in maybe the best server on the team in Johnson Rieger, with an opportunity to draw Seton to a fourth set victory.
Yeah, what a great shot by Armin. A bit undersized compared to the blockers that he's up against, all over 6 feet. So love that volleyball IQ shot by him. Solid touch by Santiago Gomez. He really has been all over the court this match, having a great game on his senior night.
So Kevin Codling finding the nice soft spot on the floor as Susie goes back to serve, Seton with a 3-point lead. Susie fires it across. And that one is out, and that was barely out. Needs to say, Seton up 20-16. Armin, the talented outside junior hitter at 5'10", plays way bigger than his size, fires it across. Jacob Roberts, the back end by Mesquite coming up big. Gomez, Parada, Kubisak. Saved on the back end by Mesquite. Jacob Roberts fires up a laser that Armin could not handle on the back end.
Yeah, that's a tough ball to defend. Jacob Roberts coming in at 6'5", pretty good hop. That was just straight OT over Nick Parada. He takes ownership for that. Love to see that, but that's just a tough ball to defend right over the block. Not much you can do when you have a 6'5" outside on the other side.
And the lead is now down to 3 as that one hits the Raptors, and Seton just does a great job of keeping it in play. Mapegwe. Seton saves at the line. Gomez. Parada knocks it across. Mapegwe's up. Manasek. Roberts on that back end. Armin. And that one might have been out. Try to save it, needs to say. It's now a 2-point Seton lead, 20-18. And this one, we talked about the emotional night of the seniors departing, and the intensity has matched it. Johnson Rieger, the good set. Mapegwe, the block at the net. Parada, this one, back and forth. Mapegwe, good block by Parada. Minarsik. Mapegwe try to bring the hammer. Gomez, and this one fired and blocked, and point in favor as Kubisak set up perfectly on that left side.
Outstanding play by Seton Catholic Prep. Full team effort. Santiago Gomez getting in there. Everyone touched that ball in that play. Love to see it. Nick Parada really showing off his pivot skills as a setter, putting in Kubisak. Great position for the kill.
Enzo Palmieri and Bobby Heim in the middle as Mapegwe bringing the lumber and chopping Seton down on that point. Now a 2-point Seton lead as Santiago Gomez back in. Enzo Palmieri out. Bobby Heim on that left side. Plot on that right side. Susie on the serve. Make that Minarchik. And Bobby Heim firing it up, and this one out of bounds. And it's now a 1-point Seton lead, 21-20. Red versus blue. 1 versus 2. The Desert Sky, a share on the line for Seton. Minarsik, Johnson Rieger doing a nice job. Kubisak fires it up, and Kubisak, the winner, off Mapegwe. And Seton now leading 22-20.
I mean, what do you do when you need a kill? Go to Isaiah Kubisak. He's always going to come in clutch for them, swinging high off the hands. 2-point lead by Seton Catholic. See if they can get a run to finish this out. Nick Parada's got a solid serve. And there we go.
And Codling knocks it out of bounds, and Seton
Ace served by Nick Parada.
closing in. Now up 23-20. Service game has been paramount. We've seen Johnson Rieger on a run. Now Parada on a run late in this fourth set. On the floor for Seton, Heim, Kubisak, Nakla, Gomez, Armin, and Parada. Another quality serve, and Mesquite knocks it the other way. And Seton 1 point away from taking this fourth set, and a timeout on the floor. And the Sentinel Nation's loud and proud as the Sentinels closing in. So a quick timeout on the floor. You're 1 point away John Engelbert has seen his team step up loud and proud in these final minutes of this fourth set. What is the message for his squad closing in on a fourth set victory?
Well, it's very clear that Seton needs some momentum to get started in the game, and they didn't have that much momentum going into the first or second set. For this third and fourth set, they've had all the energy. All the energy has been on Seton's side of the court. Still a close game here, but I think that the message from John Engelbert is to keep that momentum as they close out this set. One more point, and then they're going on to the five-setter.
So we are closing in on the finality of this fourth set. These two teams evenly matched. Mesquite won the first two sets 25-22, and then Seton said right back at you in that third, taking it 25-22, and here we are. Seton standing tall at John J. McMahon Gym. We appreciate you watching us on the Seton Catholic Sports Network. Joe Pequeno alongside the veteran libero of the women's side, Rachel Martinez. Nick Parada serves it up. Monarsic, Ricario Campo, Gomez in the middle. Parada serving up Kubisak. And the point goes in favor of Seton. And Seton takes the fourth set 25-20.
Solid swing by Isaiah Kubisak to clean out this last fourth set for Seton Catholic. Going to a five-setter here, senior night.
So a special night. 8 seniors departing. And Seton stepping up the intensity after rallying from a 2-0 deficit, winning the last two sets 25-22 and now 25-20. We'll take a short timeout. We're going to a fifth and decisive set, 1 versus 2. You wouldn't want to have it any other way right here on the Seton Catholic Sports Network. J. McMahon Gym. At what first looked like a potential Mesquite sweep has turned into now a 5-set thriller as the Sentinels have rallied to take set 3, 25-22, and the last set 25-20 to force a 5th and final set. And Rachel, your thoughts on this one for Seton to pull off this one?
There's a lot of things that it can come down to. I think that Seton really relies on energy, so as they keep the energy from the crowd in this 5th set, it's going to be critical for them.
Santiago Gomez, Parada, Kubisak, and Kubisak is there on the great setup by Parada. We've talked about that. Seton setters need a setup, and they start off the 5th set. Parada setting a Kubisak in perfect position.
Classic Kubisak once again. I mean, that play, if anything, shows that he is a 3-sport athlete. Pretty much junked it down to zone 2 for Seton to get that point.
And this time, Parada, a little too much on the serve as Souza lets it go out.
Yeah, that's a tough error. I mean, in the 5th set, you only have 15 points, so you need to find a balance between being aggressive and having those tough service pressures, but still making those serves in those important moments.
Minarsik, Gomez, Parada. And this time, the setup for Nakla was one he could not handle. And Mesquite now takes a 2-1 lead as John Engelbert trying to keep Nakla's head up. Minarsik fires it across. Gomez and Armin in that back end almost got tied up. Needs to say, Seton. Ricario Campo brings the heat from the right side as Bobby Heim tried to give it a good block, but Ricario Campo comes up big and a 3-1 Mesquite lead, and all of a sudden we're seeing Mesquite head coach Sienna
What a big swing.
and Adam.
Big swing by Mesquite here. What I'd love to see from Seton Catholic is getting a little bit more aggression, getting that ball over the net to get Mesquite out of the system.
Excellent save by Kubisak, and there he is again, Mapegwe. And a 4-1 Mesquite lead, and you got to wonder if John Engelbert, if Mesquite rolls off another point, if he's going to call a TO to regroup his squad in this 5th and final.
Yeah, possibly. It's already getting to be a quick early run here for Mesquite, 4-1.
Jaden Minarsik, Armin in that back end, hits off the rafter. And John Engelbert looking at his team.
Those balls are the worst. I mean, I remember playing in the Seton gym, coming off the rafters. It's happened a couple times tonight. You just don't know where the ball's going to go. And when it does come down, it's coming down fast. So getting that ball out of the rafters is important. Oh, love that save by David Nakla.
Left side comes up big.
Straight to the
And
corner.
a 5-0 run by the Wildcats. And Isaiah Kubisak, the senior outside here on serve. Sue's on that back end. Minarsik, Codlin gets it across. Kubisak, Armin fires it up from the left side. Loud and proud. And Seton pulls within 2.
That was a great set by Parada. Right in the cross court for Armin. Love to see it. He had 2 blockers up, but Nakla and Bobby Heim are doing their job and spreading those blockers out, spreading that offense out.
Another great serve as Seton keeps it alive at the net. Armin with a bump across. Mesquite keeping it alive. Codling fires it across. Good work by Kubisak in that back end. And Armin shoots a laser out of bounds and a 6-3 Mesquite lead.
Armin is definitely a high flyer. I love to see the scramble on both sides of the court. Great pancake from the right back defender of Mesquite.
Jacob Roberts fires it deep and miscommunication by Armin. And Santiago Gomez in that back end. And Seton calls a timeout, down 7-3. Some miscommunications on the back end for Seton. If you're John Engelbert, plenty of time left in this 5th set, but obviously you want to turn this around quickly. What's the message? What's the point of emphasis before they step back on the court?
You know, 5th sets go by so quickly. The score is already 7-3. Sometimes it just slips through your fingers. I think that Mesquite is getting a lot of momentum right off the bat in the service pressure. 2 aces out of the 7 points that they have. So game's going by super quick, so Seton can try to slow the game down a little bit, slow that ball down, gain control of their side of the court, and keep feeding their outsides. Seton's outsides are coming in clutch right now.
And Rachel, for Seton, how much does this come down to sheer belief that they can pull this off? They know the history. How much does this come down to will as well to will themselves to this victory?
You know, truthfully, I think that both sides of the court want this game as much as the other person, so a lot of it's going to come down to technicality, shutting down that middle. Middles on Mesquite are getting really engaged right now. 6 rotation players, straight athletes, so it's coming down to physicality of this last set, ironically, because the last 4 sets have been a lot of certain pass.
So Jacob Roberts fires it across. Gomez, Parada setting up Armin, and Armin skying and beating Ricario Campo at the net.
That was quite impressive by Armin. 5'10", going up against an over 6-foot blocker, shoving it down their hands, seeing that they're a little bit off the net and not pressed over and taking advantage of it. Great volleyball IQ play by Armin.
Santiago Gomez with a good quality serve as Mesquite just doing its part to get it across. Parada feeding Nakla on that right side. Mapegwe keeps it going. Susie gets it across. Santiago Gomez, Codlin gets it up. Susie fires it up. Parada. Santiago Gomez feeding Kubasak on that back end. Codling bumps it up. Minarsik trying to set up his attacker. Armin's there. And that one goes in the net. Armin finds a spot as Jenny Minarsik came hustling up, trying to bump it across, and Seton pulls within 2, 7-5.
Now, something that the Sentinels need to take care of more is the free balls. Those free balls are critical. I mean, David Nakla only had 1 blocker up, didn't completely tool it. I think that Seton could really utilize those free balls more, and the overpasses and putting them away.
So good work at the net. Enzo Palmieri and Seton pick up a point, and now down 1, 7-6. Seton once trailing 5-1. Pulling within 1. Santiago Gomez, the good serve across. Codling on the back end. Minarsik feeding Mapegwe. Santiago Gomez there. Parada, right side. Nakla, and Nakla. This time he goes out of bounds in favor of Mesquite, ending the Seton run. Nakla in good position, trying to do the cross-court winner. This time just too much heat. Sets up Mapegwe on the serve for the Wildcats.
Yeah, what a solid dig. Right on the dime by Santiago Gomez. Just wasn't able to execute for the Sentinels.
Kubasak coming up, going back the other way with Armin. Santiago Gomez, the good bump across. Mapegwe setting up that right side. Ricario Campo, Parada, Armin, and Armin fires it up and off the hands of Jacob Roberts. And it's a 1-point match.
Armin has got a
steps
heavy
out,
hand
and
on it.
Johnson Rieger, once again in a critical move by Coach John Engelbert, looking for some consistency on that service line, and Johnson Rieger has shown it that is throughout the match. Minarsik, good work on both ends at the net. This one skying high, blocked on the other side of Santiago Gomez. Kubasak in that back end. Parada, Armin bat blasted on the back end. Minarsik, Johnson Rieger, Parada throws it down in the middle. And Seton has Rye to tie it at 8. And the fan base on its feet at John J. McMahon Gym.
That is something that you want to see in the 5th set. It's just the aggression from Seton Catholic. I love the discipline and the blocking moves. You watch Armin's hands go straight up and press over the net. That's the type of level of play you need in this 5th set to win. And once again, middles from Mesquite are coming in clutch. The middles are just on fire on both sides.
And Kevin Collin comes right back, fires up the winner, and flexes and lets Seton know that Mesquite's not going away. The guests, the visitors from Mesquite, less than 5 miles away with a 9-8 lead in this 5th and decisive set. Parada setting up Palmieri at the net. Palmieri knocks it back over. Mapegwe's there. Minarsik, right side. Susie fires it up. Santiago Gomez, good work in the net. Parada's there, and Parada with the block on Susie, and we're knotted at 9.
Parada is just taking control of the net. The net is his right now. The past 2 points, he has owned the court.
And we've seen an epic matchup between 1 versus 2. Sentinels have lost 5 straight to Mesquite. Codling, Kubisak, good setup for Kubisak, and this time blocked by Minarsik. Minarsik fired up with his blue headband on, and the Wildcats go back up 1, 10-9. Sheer will and determination being showcased on both sides. Both teams have no desire to walk off this court on the losing end. Susie fires it. Santiago Gomez. Parada. Little bump across, and Parada reading the defense and finding the hole.
Nick Parada is showing off tonight with those setter dumps. He's looking over to see what's available on the court, choosing a setter dump, scores most of the time. High hitting percentage for a setter in this set.
Nick Parada with that 6th sense on the court. Paul Mary on the serve. And once again, it's Parada. And Parada, the junior. And Seton goes back on top.
Seton is just dominating at the net right now. This is one of my favorite parts of men's volleyball, is just how aggressive, how physical they press those hands over the net. Very, very tough to block those balls, but they got up there and grabbed it.
Mapegwe. Susie tries to keep it alive. Knocked out of bounds. And a 12-10 Seton lead. And Seton Catholic has responded, ripping off 3 straight points. Enzo Palmieri fires it across, this one right into the net, ending the Seton run. Santiago Gomez stepping in. Palmieri sitting down. Heim, Parada in the front court. Gomez, Johnson, Rieger, Kubisak on that back end. Blocked by Mapegwe. Parada looking for that touch yet again. Santiago Gomez. Parada setting up Kubisak. Kubisak. Codling is there. Bobby Heim. Susie on the back end. Minarsik. Roberts. Kubisak answers. Santiago Gomez, and Kubisak just has to get it across. Mapegwe. Johnson Rieger is there. Parada. Kubisak fires it up. Susie. Mapegwe. And Seton gets the point.
That was some
and Seton now up
volleyball.
13-11.
What a great
And that was
rally.
high-level volleyball on both sides.
Oh, for sure. I love to see the high flyers. You have Kubisak and Bobby Heim for the Sentinels. And Mesquite has just so many high flyers in their front row as well. It's great to see that physicality. And not to mention their back row. Johnson, Rieger, and right back picking up some great digs. Overall scrambling on both sides of the net. It's so much fun to watch.
And Kubisak tried to come up on the block on the Mapegwe. Goes out of bounds, and it's a 1-point Seton lead. And look at that Seton fan base. The parents, they're standing.
13-12, important point for Seton to turn.
Kubisak, Nakla just gets it across, and that one is out. And we are knotted at 13. Intensity high. Emotions high on senior night. 1 versus 2. Minarsik, Santiago Gomez, Parada feeding Kubisak on that right side. Susie is there. Mapegwe blocked by Heim. Parada setting up Gomez. Mapegwe there again. Parada. Kubisak just gets it across. Codling in the middle. Minarsik. Mapegwe. And Mapegwe fires up a laser. And it's the visitors with a 14-13 lead. And John Engelbert takes a timeout as Mesquite has rolled off 3 straight points. Rachel, what did you see from Mesquite in the last 3?
Ooh, this last 3 points, Mesquite has taken the ball and just ran with it. The last 3 points have flown by so quickly. They're just getting that ball, running back to the service line, serving as quick as they can and try to get Seton off guard. And it's working right now. Their ball control is getting a little bit out of hand on the Seton side because of the service pressure from Mesquite.
So on the other side for John Engelbert, you kind of touched on it. Is it just about simply tightening some things up?
I think it is. I mean, Seton's done a great job with the net this set. This is by far the best net play that they've had this entire game. Nick Parada is coming up fierce, shoving that ball down. I think that Seton can just execute in a little bit more of the tiny parts. Like, there's a couple times when they're out of system and Kubisak isn't necessarily set in a position where he can get a swing on the ball. That's going to set Seton apart from Mesquite in this set. It's getting more swings on the ball, getting them out of system.
Rachel, you've been in this situation in numerous fifth set matchups. What's going on in the mind of the Seton players right now?
It's do or die at this point. 13-14, Seton is down. They need to get a pass right here.
Narsik on the serve.
Solid pass by Armin and swing by Kubisak.
And this one just gets in. Armin and make that Parada thought it was going out. Now a 15-13 victory, and there it is. Mesquite does it yet again. Parada on that right side could not come up with it, and Mesquite in a 5-set thriller holds off Seton. 25-22. 25-22. Seton won the next 2 sets, and in the 5th set, 15-13. Mesquite victorious. And Nick Parada going over, shaking hands with some of the Mesquite players, and no question, Nick Parada played a fantastic matchup as his team comes up a little short. And how about Bobby Heim? You don't think he cares about this program? On that Seton logo in the middle, and when you see something like that, Rachel, for someone who's bled the colors for this school as long as you have, when you see one of your fellow classmates do that, what does that mean to you?
The fact that it's Bobby's first year playing volleyball and he's learned so much about the game, grown to love it, is just so heartwarming, and this sport means so much to him, and it's incredible that he's going on to play athletics in college, but that was just such a special moment to see from Bobby.
So for Seton, they dropped to 15-13, 8-4 in section. For Mesquite, now 13-7, 10-2 overall. Both these squads are heading to the playoffs, Rachel. So on the Seton side, we saw Seton play a tough physical matchup against a squad that has the potential to go deep in the playoffs. What's your expectations for Coach John Engelbert and his squad as they head toward the most valuable season, which of course is the postseason?
Postseason and regular season are 2 completely different seasons, and from what I saw from Seton Catholic, the first 2 sets was a completely different team than the last 3. In the last set, you saw Seton's true colors and great ball control, aggression at the net, awesome service pressure, and that's what you need to see throughout all 5 sets. Right now, it's a mental game from Seton. It's a mental block that they need to get over. Energy is truly a buzzword in the game of volleyball. Energy is something that should be brought every single point of the game, every single play. And I think that if Seton starts to bring that intensity every point, they're going to be dangerous. They're going to be hard to beat.
So that opportunity, they're going to wait, and there's an opportunity they might have a home matchup in that first round. And Rachel, look, you've started the playoffs on home court. How valuable is that for Seton to put this one away immediately, go back to work, and focus on the first round of the playoffs?
It is so valuable, especially watching the film from this game, seeing areas where they can improve. Like I said, the next step to improve Seton's game is getting more physicality, getting more swings over the net. A lot of the times when they're out of system, they just free ball the ball over the net, basically a free point for Mesquite. But I think that if Seton can really apply more pressure through their kills out of system, it's going to be a lot more difficult to beat them.
So the Sentinels, in heartbreaking fashion, lose a heartbreaker in 5 sets to Mesquite. And before we sign off here, let's say goodbye to the departing seniors who play or step on the floor for the last time for the Sentinels. Michael Cook, Mason Gordon, Jesse Mathias, of course, Bobby Heim, Enzo Palmieri, Mateus Benali, Santiago Gomez, Isaiah Kubisak as well. We wish all those seniors the best, and no question they enjoy their time as a Sentinel with more memories and, of course, friendships for a lifetime. And but their season is far from done as they get ready for the postseason. Of course, the seedings will come out shortly, and if Rachel Martinez and myself have the opportunity to call the game, we'll be right here on the Seton Catholic Sports Network. And we appreciate you dialing, Sentinels Nation. Once again, the boys fought hard, just coming up short to Mesquite. For Paulo Hutchinson on the live stream, for the amazing Rachel Martinez, who is going to be a broadcast wonder and no question a volleyball star as she heads to Colgate. I'm Joe Pequeno. Thank you for dialing in, and we'll see you very soon.